I almost made at least $15 an hour today. It's Comics and Shots, a completely improvised semi-comedic musing by Howard Stern's Mick the Nerd, aka YouTube and TikTok's Mick the Man, aka Mick the Maverick, aka a guy who stared into the face of death. Not because I was in an accident or anything, just driving that long is basically staring into the face of death. And I know people have it worse. Kudos to the night drivers. You're braver than me. Today's subject, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and the subject of antiheros in fiction. I brought up the Punisher yesterday, and how I feel that he was a better antihero back in like the early days rather than the more violent persona than he was back then. Ironically though, I feel Johnny C, or Nee as he's called, and JTHM, is a better antihero than Punisher. Why do I feel this? Well, because Nee is like, people call him out on his crap, and, you understand, it's obvious that this is wrong. The point is, it's messed up. JTHM is basically Punisher if you acknowledge the premise is messed up. Like, there are, well, early on at least, like, boy. That brings up to another point, actually. Early Punisher, it's like we kind of put him as like a triumphant hero a lot of the times in the 80s, the grim, gritty anti-hero. Then Garth Ennis finally made him an actual sociopath and kind of changed the character forever. And, kind of shameless, and then to the point where he was a borderline supervillain leading the hand. Nee, though, he actually feels kind of bad about all the people he kills and how he has to do this. Otherwise, like, an eldritch being will go through his, like, the walls in his house. He has to keep the walls wet. Yeah. Better examples, probably Wolverine, Deadpool, and early Venom. They are ashamed about all the murder they do. Well, I'm not sure if Venom does, but they all try to be better people. They try to be actual heroes. Punisher, he doesn't really try, and we're supposed to root for him anyway. Whereas Nee, you root for him, but you know that he's in the wrong. He's a murderer. He's a serial killer. He just kills people whom he finds really, really annoying, or are destined to go to hell anyway. It's a whole canonical thing in him being a flusher. Yeah. If I'm spoiling this, that comic's like older, like early 2000s, okay? It's an old one, yeah. Yeah. If you want to make a bloodthirsty anti-hero who murders tons of people and does all sorts of fucked up shit, it's usually better in comedy, like in Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, because you gotta acknowledge that the fucked up shit that they're doing is fucked up and shitty. You can't have, like, him mowing down bad guys and it's, like, just indiscriminately and, like, making a total mockery of law and justice, saying, wow, that's a good guy. Conversely, though, anyone else look at that old issue where Punisher is, like, pissed off of the cops for, like, emulating his logo, and it's like, you stand for law and order. You're supposed to be better than me. And it's like, where does this guy have any reason to talk down to anyone? He murders people. He murders lots of people. He tortures people. He tortures and murders. You don't get to act like you have morals. That's a big problem I have with the Punisher. Also, it's just even weirder because in the Marvel Universe, half the time, he just feels like this serial killer that they all just tolerate. I mean, one could also say the same thing about Wolverine, but once again, Wolverine feels bad about what he does. And as for Deadpool, Well, at least he's paid to do it. You know, he's doing a service. Yeah. Yeah. Also, once again, feels bad about who he is and, like, at least wants to be a better person. Around his daughter, at least. Yeah. Yeah. But also, do have to acknowledge that my main problem with the Punisher, in regards of him being an anti-hero, is mostly due to modern interpretations that took the murder up to an 11. So I should probably be more saying modern Punisher than to just Punisher in general. Like, there were, like, in better stories, Punisher actually spares some bad guys. You know, he doesn't just kill everyone. He spares some people. Yeah. Ugh. Like, not like in the Punisher meets Eminem issue where Eminem's got a hit on him and put up by, like, Parents Association. At the end of the Punisher just decides to kill all of them. And it's like, okay, sure, yeah, that's what he does. Just call the cops on them. You know, I know it's weird hoping for good cops, but it's a comic book universe, so fantasy can happen. Yeah. But ultimately, I feel like at least Punisher and JTHM are better anti-heroes than Black Adam. Yeah, Black Adam is barely even an anti-hero. He's more like just a supervillain that got popular. Yeah. People say that about Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, but Harley's an abuse survivor, and to be fair to Poison Ivy, most of the stuff she's protecting is, like, stuff we should be doing with the planet, so, you know, a bit of a nuance there. She's still generally evil, though, in a lot of things, but less evil than Black Adam, who is a literal dictator. Yeah. Basic button of this 7-ish minute vlog. An anti-hero needs... If you're gonna have an anti-hero be absolutely fucked up, do it for comedy, but mostly do it for comedy, but also just mainly acknowledge that they're in the wrong. Don't make them an actual hero. They're an anti-hero. Yeah. There's a fine distinction. If you want to have an anti-hero try to be a good person, you know, have them hate themselves a little bit. This is simple stuff. You know. Hope you take that to heart. Also, check out Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. It's a classic. Jonan Vasquez, creator of Invader Zim. Mm-hmm. Will he ever do a sequel to it? Probably not. I wish he did, but habble-this-babble-they-do. With that, like, comment, and subscribe. Donate if you're feeling nice. Share it with a bear. Now always remember, praise be to the Blood Elk, fear the Stabopotamus, and death to Kronos. That practically went down like water. It's been a long day. Have a night, folks.